Morning, all. All right, so we got 9 games tonight in the NHL. Now, very few are of any consequence. So I don't know how intense any of this is going to be. I don't know how many healthy scratches we're going to see. Based on last night's games, it could be a lot. So that being said, we got 5 games starting at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, and running right up until the LA Vancouver game gets started late, which was supposed to be this game of consequence, and now it's not. So 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Washington Capitals in against the New York Islanders. Washington's won 2 out of 3, although the Islanders won a couple of days ago. January 15th, it was a 2-0 win for Washington. March 15th was a 4-3 shootout win for Washington. And then the Islanders won on April 26th, 4-1. So we'll see how things go tonight. Washington, of course, 44, 24, and 12. They have the one game in hand on Pittsburgh. They're 1 point behind Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not playing today, so this is that game in hand being played out. Last 10 games, they are 6-2-2. They did lose their last game in regulation against these same Islanders, who are 36, 34, and 10. So at the very least, they end up finishing at NHL 500. That's at worst. Last 10 games, they are 3-6-1. They did win their last game. They are 3 points ahead of Columbus, so good chance that that standing doesn't change. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Buffalo Sabres in against Boston. Boston trying to sweep the season series. They won October 22nd, 4-1, November 24th, 5-1, and January 1st, 4-3 in overtime. Buffalo's 31, 38, and 11. They've gotten a lot better since the last time they played the Bruins. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They've won 4 in a row. They are 1 point ahead of Detroit, so they're doing very well right now. On the Boston side, 50, 25, and 5. Last 10 games, they're 6-4. They've won 3 in a row. They are 5 points clear of Washington, so they're pretty entrenched in that number one wildcard spot. Looks like we'll end up with Boston against the Carolina Hurricanes, although technically they can still catch Tampa, but we'll see. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, Florida in against the Ottawa Senators. Florida's won 2 out of 3. The first meeting was December 14th. It was an 8-2 win for Ottawa, thus the no mercy magnet. March 3rd, it was the 3-0 win for Florida. March 26th, it was a 4-3 shootout win for the Florida Panthers. So for Florida, they're 57, 17, and 6 right now. The last 10 games, they're 8-2. They've lost 2 in a row. They have, of course, clinched first in the East. They will have home ice until the Stanley Cup final. President's Trophy has not been decided. It is still between themselves and the Colorado Avalanche. On the Ottawa side, 32, 41, and 7. Last 10 games, they're 6-3-1. They've won 4 in a row. They're 8 points clear of New Jersey. So this is kind of becoming an annual thing where Ottawa does well at the end of the year and gives you optimism, and then we'll see if it carries on into next regular season. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the New Jersey Devils in against the Carolina Hurricanes. These teams have already met 3 times. Carolina's won 2 of them. But January 22nd, it was a 7-4 win for New Jersey. January 29th, a 2-1 win for Carolina. April 23rd, a 3-2 overtime win for the Canes. For New Jersey, they're 27, 44, and 9. Last 10 games, they're 3-4-3. They did lose their last game in extra time. They are 2 points clear of the Philadelphia Flyers. Carolina, 53, 20, and 8. Last 10 games, they're 7-3. They've won 5 in a row. Of course, they've clinched first in the Metro. So this game doesn't mean anything. I expect Carolina to be resting players. And again, it's interesting at the end of the year to see how many teams don't necessarily field a full team, and then how that might affect them going into the playoffs. Usually, I complain a bit here and there about who gets rested and too much resting and all that. This year, not so much, but a very compacted schedule. I totally get it. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Tampa Bay Lightning in against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Tampa Bay's won both meetings this year. 7-2 on January 4th, and of course on April 26th, just a couple days ago, they beat them 4-1. Tampa Bay, 50, 22, and 8. Last 10 games, they're 7-2-1. They've won 4 in a row. They're 3 points ahead of Boston, so with a win tonight, they clinch themselves third spot, and we know we'll have Toronto and Tampa. And of course, if Boston were to lose their game against Buffalo, then we know that that's the matchup we get as well. On the Columbus side, they're 36, 37, and 7. Last 10 games, they're 4-5-1. They did lose their last game in regulation against these same Lightning. They are 6 points clear of the Buffalo Sabres. Then at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, Calgary in against Minnesota. And I'm wearing Minnesota because Minnesota has something to play for. Calgary really doesn't. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see them resting guys and just making sure they're ready to go for the first round of the playoffs, right? So February 26th, Calgary wins 7-3. March 1st, Calgary wins 5-1. So it's a 2-0 series in favor of Calgary. Sure, Minnesota wins the third. Why not? Calgary's 50-20-10. Last 10 games, they're 8-1-1. They've won 3 in a row. They're first in the Pacific Division. On the Minnesota side, they're 51-22-7. Last 10 games, they're also 8-1-1. They lost their last game in regulation. They are tied with St. Louis. So we'll see how they bounce back from that loss against Arizona. My guess is with a win over Calgary, but we'll see. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, the Nashville Predators in against the Colorado Avalanche. Nashville's one of the few teams in the NHL to have a winning record against Colorado this year. November 27th, Colorado beat them 6-2. On December 16th, Nashville wins 5-2. January 11th, it's a 5-4 overtime win for the Nashville Predators. Nashville, 44-29-7. Last 10 games, they're 3-4-3. They've had 2 setbacks in extra time, most recently. They're 1 point behind Dallas. This is their game in hand on Dallas. Colorado, 56-18-6. They can have some say in who they play against. Maybe you go in there guns a-blazing against Nashville, hoping you play Nashville instead of Dallas. But again, do teams really care who they play in the first round? I don't know that that's a big deal. Just making the playoffs seems to be the most important thing. Last 10 games, Colorado 6-4. Of course, they won their last game after 4 straight regulation losses. They have clinched first in the West. We'll see if they rest anybody, and if they do, it might make it a little easier for Nashville to knock them off tonight. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific start time as well for San Jose and the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton's won all 3 meetings this year. February 14th, it was 3-0. March 24th, it was 5-2. April 5th, it was a 2-1 overtime win for the Oilers. San Jose, 32-36-12. Last 10 games, they're 3-4-3. They did lose their last game. They are tied with Anaheim, well below the playoff line, but still tied with the Ducks. The Oilers are 47-27-6. Last 10 games, they're 7-2-1. They did win their last game in Pittsburgh, and it was a statement. They're second in the Pacific. So they know they're going to have home ice, and again, the Oilers might be resting players. No idea. I just throw that out there because I know people make comments about who they think is going to win. It might be the time of year to pick underdogs. Really, look at Montreal over the Rangers, and so the betting lines are going to be all over. And if that's your thing, you will see. 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. The LA Kings in against Vancouver. LA, not a lot to play for. We saw them resting a lot of guys last night. And so we probably see that again tonight. This series is tied December 6th, the 4-0 win for Vancouver. I was there for that game. It was fantastic. December 6th or December 30th, LA wins at home in a shootout 2-1. So we'll see how things go tonight. For LA, they're 44-27-10. Last 10 games, they're 6-4. They've won 5 in a row. So they're really gearing up for the playoffs. They are, of course, third in the Pacific. They will be playing the Oilers. The Vancouver Canucks, 39-30-11. Last 10 games, they're 7-2-1. They won their last game. They are 4 points clear of the Winnipeg Jets. So, Vancouver playing out the string. It's been because I saw a question asked online about whether or not Canucks season could be considered a success. It really depends on how you define success. I would say if righting the ship after so many years of it being a mess fixes it, then it's mostly fixed. But, it's been a successful season, I think, since the disastrous start, which means it's kind of meh overall. We'll see what happens next year. There you go. Let me know your winners in the comment section below. Again, might be a good time to pick underdogs because of players getting rested, but don't forget to hit like and subscribe as well if you're just browsing your way through. Numbers have been pretty strong lately, so I'm expecting to see another 1,000, so 235,000 soon. Thank you guys so much for all your support. And we'll be reporting from the new set soon enough. Thank you guys again for everything. I will talk to you soon.